Hi, everybody. We're excited to be here this morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, to talk about transforming e-commerce using artificial intelligence, not just on a high level, but also we're going to get into some of the specific strategies in terms of how you can fuel your growth and efficiency. So my name is Jared. I'm with Cognigy, and I'm in the product marketing department. And I am very excited today to have Lucia here from Foundever, who can tell us a little bit about her.
Hello, I am Lucia. I'm the CX Digital Director from Foundever, in charge of the development of all the CX digital products, including conversational AI solutions as chatbots and voice bots.
Ooh. So you're an expert. I can ask you tough questions during the webinar.
Yes, you can.
That's okay. I'm only a little bit technical. All right. So I think everybody has kind of a sneak preview of what we're going to talk about today: messaging, what's happening in CAI and e-commerce, and then we'll get right into how they come together. So this, I think, is one of the most obvious yet missed things that are trends that we see today, right? What is the most popular form of communication? It's messaging. And I think a lot of us, we sort of intuitively know this, and that's what we do in our daily life. We're using WhatsApp, we're using iMessage, Teams, Slack, Twitter, and yet still we think of messaging and communication as email, which these days is almost the equivalent of snail mail. But what's interesting for our purposes about all of this, it shouldn't be a surprise, they are all conversational. So why is messaging so popular? Aside from, not having to actually see how many emails you have in your inbox, which is always, a bonus. But, right now, would you rather send an email to somebody or just send them a quick message on Slack or Teams? How do you communicate with your friends and family? It's probably going to be iMessage or WhatsApp. Messaging is the dominant means of communication, and that's both for consumers, but also on the enterprise level, particularly after the pandemic. I mean, right now we've got over 1 million organizations, for example, that use Microsoft Teams. I think I remember seeing this really crazy statistic that from between 2017 and 2023, Teams went from 2 million users to over 300 million. Now, why are we talking about enterprise here? Because the point is messaging is omnipresent. We use it for everything. And all of those enterprise users who message at work, for example, are the same people who are consumers when they go home. And that's still the experience that they expect, both in their private and in their work life. So what does that mean? We all want conversational experiences because that's what's the most natural as a human. Now, I don't want to preach to the choir, but let's talk a little bit about e-commerce. What is conversational commerce? It basically gives brands the ability to connect with and sell to customers via chat and voice technology. And of course, the benefits in this case are not just for the customers who we talked about, who love messaging, but also for companies, because you'll do things like reduce your dependence on mobile apps. And I know developing your own mobile app is expensive, and it's even more expensive to maintain, not to mention keep in sync with your website and all of your other channels. So using messaging also for e-commerce reduces the cost of self-service. It's way easier to cover more channels, and yeah, it's ultimately less effort. People expect conversational experiences nowadays, regardless of what they're doing. And most people think that, I mean, this is a great statistic, but is it really a surprise? People think experiences should be natural, between whether they're physical, whether they're digital. They have the technology, they use the technology at work, they use it in their private life. So why can't companies offer what people already know is possible? And that's what we want to talk about today. So again, I have a nice quote from Gartner, which sort of, I guess, emphasizes this idea that transitioning to messaging platforms for customer service, this reduces dependencies, it reduces cost, it increases digital and self-service effectiveness, right? It's so much easier just to click a button or two than wait on hold and get passed around and the person doesn't know. I think we've all been there. So just, I want to set expectations here, because I think when a lot of people think of conversational commerce, they think it's a bot on a website. Oh, but that's not true. Messaging, as we've just talked about, extends to a broad range of channels, right? This could be on your website. It could be in a branded app that you already have in use. It could be on your social media channels. It could be reactive or proactive outreach on WhatsApp or Telegram, for example. Could even be digital via digital assistants like Alexa, Google Home, Siri, because ultimately in the end, it's all conversational. Despite this long list or medium list, it's essentially all the same thing. Now, why is CAI important in e-commerce, right? Why is there, why do we need this fancy new tool? It's because conversational AI can affect the entire buyer's journey, from just becoming aware of a brand or a need, all the way through purchase, advocacy, and repurchase. It helps you understand individual preferences. You can reach out and offer proactive support. If somebody is thinking about buying, I know this happened to me, like a pair of pants, they didn't exactly have the sizes that I normally got from them, and I think, how am I going to know if this is going to fit, right? There's no information. This is a great opportunity where, for example, a bot can jump up and say, hey, I see you've added this, but then you added other sizes. Do you need help, or do you have a question about that? Boom, without me even having to ask. So there's a lot of opportunities. I'm going to let Lucia talk about them a little bit later in detail. And with that, I'm going to jump right into trends, right? Why is CAI and conversational commerce important today, aside from all the great statistics I showed you? Number one, I think it's self-explanatory. For better or for worse, depending on who you ask, ChatGPT has kind of set the bar in terms of customer expectations. I don't mean every single person out there expects it right now, but they know it's possible. They've seen it. They've used it. So the next time they have a crappy experience, they're like, hey, come on. I know that we're light years ahead of this experience that I'm suffering through. Why aren't you giving this to me? Because I know it's out there. And of course, they don't understand all of the compliance and the implementation and development that goes into that. But that's what they expect because they've seen it. Number two, conversational experiences. I think we've seen that before. One of the other parts to that that I think is important to mention is that people want to be able to interact naturally. And naturally means I want to talk how I talk. I don't want to change my voice, to speak slowly, to use simple words, just to use your darn bot or IVR or chatbot or whatever it is. We all know, if you think about the way you talk versus the way you type in Google, a lot of people don't realize just the way you type in Google, you've now changed your speech, you've changed your writing and adapted it to the machine instead of the machine adapting it to you. And with a lot of the huge advances in speech to text and text to speech, for example, not to mention natural language understanding, which comes into CAI, really conversational experiences are possible. Next, personalization, and people want personalization, but they want contextual personalization. They don't want creepy ads that follow them around the internet telling them to buy shoes, right? They want relevant suggestions. And I think we've all gotten enough sort of stock answers, some pre-canned suggestions that are just not relevant to us. And again, think about the last thing you bought on Amazon. What did they recommend to you? It was probably pretty relevant. Maybe not 10 out of 10, but probably 8 or 9 times out of 10. And then finally, and this, is unfortunately still kind of a lag from the pandemic, is at least 20% of service interactions are negative. And negative service interactions cost you big time. I think in the latest stats from last year, customers rated about 20% as bad, 25% as neutral, right? And then so we're already at almost half, right? I mean, okay, 45%, I'm embellishing, right? But that's horrible. And it's not just that they're bad experiences, it's that those people are going to go elsewhere. They're going to buy the same pair of pants or a really similar jacket or golf clubs or wherever from someone that makes it easy and is nice to them. And in many cases, it's really that simple. And now Lucia, who has been waiting patiently, is going to talk to us about about the commerce trends.
So, complementing what Gerald just presented, we know that the shopping experiences was always based on conversations. If you want to buy something or sell something and you go to a store or a market, you need to engage in real conversations. So we can take this experience to the digital world with conversational AI and human-like experiences. And we know that 40% of shoppers, they don't care if they are talking with a human or a bot. They just want to solve their problems as quick as possible. And almost 50% of chatbot users purchase items, meaning that conversational AI can impact the conversion rate. And if we look at the projections for full automation with conversational AI, they are expected to be between 30% and 40% in the next 5 years. And this is also impacting the human agent labor costs, which will be reducing in $80 billion by 2026 because of conversational AI.
Right. So with that, if we after hearing all these great numbers, let's just touch on what conversational AI is. I'm going to give you the layman's version. Conversational AI is essentially two pieces. The first is the AI part, of course, which is natural language understanding, right? What does that mean? That means it's the ability for computers or for software to understand human language. So if I say, hey Siri, is it going to rain today? The software has to do a lot of work in order to understand what I mean. It has to understand today, which means go find today's date. It has to hear rain and now, okay, I've got to go check the weather. And then it's also got to look at my location and then go to a weather source and understand, I'm not looking for temperature, I'm looking for precipitation. So it has to understand all of the pieces of this, plus the overall intent, which is the user wants to know the chance of precipitation on this specific day in this specific location. It's a lot harder when you break it down into pieces. So this is where AI comes in. Without natural language understanding, the question is complete gibberish. It's just a bunch of noise. Like if somebody came and talked to you in some exotic foreign language, you just sit there. This is the power of AI. Now, understanding what the user wants is a huge piece of it, but understanding will not get anything done. So the second huge component of conversational AI is automation and integration. So in order to get things done, you need to be able to integrate your conversational AI into all of these critical backend systems, right? So AI has to act as this meta layer above all of your other systems so that you can hook in your CRM, your ticketing system, your inventory system, for example, your payment systems, all of this into one layer. And then once you have that integration, conversational AI makes it possible to pass information back and forth between all of these. So instead of having to integrate all of these individual systems separately with each other, you have this over-the-top layer that can do all of it. And this allows you to not only integrate, but to automate, where your conversational AI can say, okay, let's do identification and verification. Boom, we'll go to your CRM. Then let's go to the problem. We'll go look in the ticketing system and find that case. Things like this. So conversational AI is essentially the ability to interact with software using your voice, right? And I'm going to try not to beat a dead horse here, but I really like people to get how cool it is. If you think about what you're doing right now, you're using a mouse, you're using a keyboard, and you're using a monitor. But none of those things are the computer. None of those things are the software. Those are methods. Those are a means with which you as a human can use your eyes and your hands to interact with the software. Conversational AI just lets you use your voice. Now, what does that bring to e-commerce? So first, you want to be where your consumers are. We've talked about this, right? Whether it's messaging, UC solutions like Teams, whether it's IoT like Google Home or Alexa, and offer that instant, natural service, right? This just simple conversation where you don't have this extra, oh, I need to change the way I speak, I need to speak slowly, blah, 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 for the bot, which I would never have to do with a human. It lets you support any language. And when I say any language, I really mean any language. If somebody wants to call up and try to use Klingon, with Cognigy, at least, you actually can, because we have a universal language model that will understand that. I don't know if I recommend it or if it's worth the effort, but it's possible. And with that also comes translation. So you could have an agent in Brazil or in the Philippines or in the US who speaks one language and somebody in Turkey, and they could both communicate in their same language in real time with each one understanding the other. And then finally, what does it bring is obviously customer support, both proactive and reactive, as well as these things like upselling, cross-selling, recommendations, answering issues during the checkout process about sizing, about compatibility. Oh, is this charger going to work with this phone? Things like that. So these are just a few of the use cases that CAI can help you with in terms of conversational commerce. Again, I'm not going to get into all of them because I have Lucia here, who's the real expert, as she told you. But again, things like she talked about automating processes, right? Order tracking is obviously a pretty easy one. Most of us hopefully can do. Automating exchanges and refunds processes, right? We have completely automated, I want to say it's about 80% of all rebookings and refunds with Lufthansa, for example, for tickets. Now you think about how complicated it is to do a rebooking or a refund for an airline, and all the scheduling and the costs and all of the things that go into that. How much easier would that be for sending back a dress? But whichever one you want to do, it's doable. Now, instead of talking, I want to take a look real quick at what you can use messaging for, right? What does it actually look like from a consumer experience? Now, I talked a little bit about this flight example, and so that's what I'm going to show you. And I know you're thinking, well, wait, flight, that's not traditional conversational commerce. It's a little bit true, but still changing a flight is not that different from booking one. And on top of that, this requires a huge amount of integration and automation. It's a very complex request involving multiple people, multiple flights, things like that. Plus, it's a transactional request that has to be solved immediately. Not at the end of the day, not the next day, not next week when they get around to the email. So imagine what it can do for your use cases.
Hey, this is Sebastian. I have a family emergency and I need to rebook my flight to London. That's me, my wife, and the 2 kids.
All right, now this goes on a little bit, but you get an idea of how quickly and how simply you can do something that is actually complex. What does that mean, right? I want to talk about just 3 little parts of it here that are very cool. So the first is multimodal, right? So we have this conversational service that can be deployed on WhatsApp in this case, but you could use it on any other messaging app that you want. You also notice we can send audio messages, which is really cool. And how does that work? It's really nothing more than speech to text, similar to, say, a conversational IVR. So it can do that, interpret the message, and then also use generative AI to summarize long ones if somebody's very talkative, like myself, so that the virtual agent knows what to answer or just knows the key facts. What else can it do? Empathy, right? I mean, of course, it's a bot, but still, instead of getting a canned response, oh, please give me your ticket number, which would be what most people would get, you can see just from the response that, oh, it understands your issue. It understands, it's an emergency, it's something important, and is able to make customers feel heard by acknowledging their inputs. Does the customer know this is automated? Yes, but they don't feel like they're talking to a brick wall. They don't feel like they're an anonymous person in a standardized process that was not made for them. So this also, despite what you may think, or I guess as a surprise, is actually a form of personalization because it's showing this contextual response to a request. Now, finally, is this human level understanding of language. I don't know if you were really paying close attention, you heard Sebastian say, it's me, myself, and the two kids, right? Well, most of your bots today, they're going to hear two, and they're going to say, okay, it's two. But in this case, because of the natural language understanding, especially enhanced with generative AI in this case, it's able to understand me, my wife, and then add the two children as well, right? So again, it goes back to that just being able to speak freely and normally and not feeling like I need to change myself. I have to do extra work for this process because really I'm the customer. It should be the other way around. So finally, it's connected and transactional, right? As simple as this looks as just a really quick WhatsApp conversation, which God, I wish all airlines did, to be perfectly honest. This is crucial, and this is also where it comes into play again for e-commerce, right? Where just like a simple FAQ just will not cut it. This virtual agent is connected to all of the key backend systems and is able to provide this end-to-end automated solution for self-service to understand the request, verify the passenger, confirm what the issue is, and then make the required changes and then confirm them in this backend system. Whether that's rebooking a flight, whether it's buying something and returning something, it doesn't matter. It's very powerful. And you can imagine how many agents would be happy if the virtual assistant is able to handle these things and not them. As somebody who travels frequently and tends to have a lot of bad luck, I would love if I could fix my problems this quickly while, walking through the Atlanta airport or, running quickly from one terminal to the other. This would be so much easier. And with that, my long speech is done, and I am going to turn it over to Lucia, who's going to talk then more specifically about conversational AI, Cognigy, and Foundever.
Thanks, Gerald. So now I'm going to show you how this partnership can help you to solve your CX problems. I want to talk a bit about Foundever. We are a global company present in 45 countries, and we are delivering CX in more than 60 languages, meaning that scalability is not a challenge for us. And Foundever has more than 30 years of experience delivering effective CX solutions and providing customized end-to-end journeys. We have a team of experts in conversational AI, working from the assessment to the continuous improvement. And this partnership is combining Cognigy's technology with Foundever experts, because we all know that having the best car is useless if you don't have an excellent driver. So we have the perfect match.
This is true. I don't have a great car, and I don't know if I'm a good driver. But let me talk about Cognigy instead. Cognigy is our headquarters is in Germany, and we have offices all over North America, Europe, multiple countries in Asia. We've been a leader in the Magic Quadrant for conversational AI 2 years in a row, which are the only 2 years that's existed. And we were just recently ranked #1 in every single use case by Gartner in their critical capabilities report for CAI. We work with a wide range of enterprise customers such as Lufthansa, Toyota, Bosch, and others. So conversational AI is our bread and butter.
So now I'd like to show you important steps to create a success bot, starting with the assessment phase, where we are going to understand the brand scenario, analyzing the main contact reasons, mapping all the processes, understanding the pain points from the client, and also analyzing the current channels, checking how is the experience in each channel. This is really important for us to understand, to see what we can improve, what we can take advantage. And also we need to understand the target and how the brand communicates with its customers. So we need to analyze even the existing guidelines and how the brand is communicating in all the channels. And is when we are also mapping opportunities for integrations and image analysis, because we want to automatize the journey, bringing an end-to-end experience. So we need to detect integrations opportunities, and at least we need to integrate the main contact reasons. This is really important to have a better satisfaction rate. But it's not just that. We also need to map competitors. We need to analyze their current channels. How is the experience? If we can have any opportunity to bring to our customer that they are already bringing or that they are missing maybe. And we can also analyze trends and benchmarks to find some new insights and new ideas to the project. And after having all this knowledge and understanding, we can start the production phase, creating the strategy, thinking about the best UX, and also the content production. And we start creating the persona and tone of voice, which will be used in all these channels and needs to be aligned with the brand identity. So we create a complete guideline with all the details, description, and practical examples that needs to be used to guide the whole production phase. After having the persona already aligned, we can start the human-like conversational flows and interactions, planning and production. And then we can start creating all the content and thinking about the experience. And as we are talking about e-commerce, and we also want to sell, it is important to bring rich media and product demos to illustrate the conversation. And we also need to consider different channels, because maybe the experience that the user is expecting to have on WhatsApp can be different than on Instagram. So we need to think about different strategies and how can we consider different channels and different UX. And we need to design the integration flows for automation. So it's when we are going to analyze all the systems and think about all the conversational flow for these specific integrations. And again, as we're talking about e-commerce, the personal shopper, it will be again changing. So we need to think about the best experience and how can we bring the sales storytelling, because even if we are starting in a normal chat bot, it is just a normal evolution transforming in a sales consultant. So we can bring and think about customizing the journey and thinking about the sales storytelling. And we always need to consider the product portfolio from the client and how we'll be bringing, if it needs integration, how we'll be integrating these products in all these channels. It is really important to have an end-to-end shopping experience, thinking about since the beginning, like when guiding the customer to be able to find the right product until the end of experience. So thinking about where it will be the payment and where it is the end of the experience and the journey. Then we have several different techniques to be able to sell using different descriptions, CTAs, and also upselling and cross-selling techniques. So the main point is understanding the customer needs, and then we can think about the best strategy. But not just that, it's not just implementing the setup and launching. We need to think about the continuous improvement. If we want to keep the performance of the bot and also improve the performance of the bot, it is mandatory to keep the AI trained and to produce new content, to keep the content updated. We need to anticipate all the information and bring into the bot. We don't need to wait for people to start asking for something that we didn't add. So it's really important also to have marketing campaigns integrated and plan all the product launches, because then we can have the whole integration. As we already have the channel, we don't need to consider just the support, but we can also use for marketing. We can have everything integrated. And of course, we need to monitor the KPIs and results every day, because this will always bring new opportunities, and we can always bring some qualitative reports with insights. And this is really, really important to keep the maintenance and the performance of the bot. And it is also important to plan and to create a roadmap for the year, because if not, we are just going to do the daily work. But it is important to think about new opportunities, new improvements, and also new implementations, considering new integrations. Maybe we're not launching with everything that we expect to have. So we need to have this plan to be able to align with the client and then start working on it every month. So now I'm going to show you a day in the life of a customer, which is my friend Leah, and she's using conversational AI during the whole day. I hope you enjoy.
Let's experience a day in the life of a friend of mine, Leah. In an Uber on her way to work, Leah remembered she needed to get an outfit for a dinner party tomorrow. Seeking inspiration, Leah connected to Anne, her personal shopper at her most loved brand. With a fun and engaging shopping experience, conversations drive conversions. Later, at the office, between two important meetings, she noticed that the zipper of her laptop backpack was damaged. But as it was new, she tried to exchange it for another one. Let's take a look at a different kind of exchange experience, powered by conversational AI. Simply uploading 3 images of the damaged product, and the chatbot was able to immediately accept the exchange. Fast, friendly, simple. Later, at the end of the day, Leah arrives home and prepared to cook her evening meal while checking off some additional tasks from her to-do list. Interacting with conversational voice bots makes multitasking easy. Let's listen.
Alexa, open Vinoteca Delights.
Welcome to Vinoteca Delights, Leah. I am Vino, your knowledgeable wine companion. How can I assist you today?
Can you help me order a bottle of red wine with express delivery?
Sure. What type of red wine would you prefer?
Something that pairs well with pasta dishes.
Understood. I have several options available. Would you like me to recommend a specific brand or make a general suggestion?
Surprise me with a popular choice, around $40.
Based on customer ratings and reviews, I recommend trying the Chateau du Merlot. It's a rich and flavorful red wine with hints of blackberry and oak. Would you like me to add it to your cart and process the order?
Perfect. Yes.
Thank you, Leah. Your wine will be delivered to your doorstep within the next 30 minutes.
The meal is finally ready, and great news. Leah receives a notification to prepare to pick up her delivery. Just in time. With technology as an integrated part of the conversation, Leah experiences her favorite brands with the speed and convenience that her life demands. Cheers to the power of conversational automation, making Leah's life more convenient and enjoyable every day.
And to validate everything that I just presented, I would like to show you results from real cases of conversational AI. And I'm bringing 3 important e-commerce cases that I cannot share the brand names, but I can show you all the main results here. And starting with the first one, where we have a strong persona and personal shopper, and we can see that the conversion rate of those who interacted with the bot is 3 times higher, meaning that if we apply the right strategy, we can have a huge impact in the conversion rate with the solution. And in this case, the main contact reason is the exchange product. And during the process, there is a need of sharing images. So in this case, we implemented the automated image analysis integrated with the bot, and we could improve the real-time resolution from 10 days to 15 seconds. So now all the customers, they can receive confirmation about their request just in a few seconds. And this is also impacting the containment rate, which is up to 95%, meaning that we're transferring to a human service just 5% of the total volume of sessions. And in the second case, we implemented all the setup without sales strategy. It was just about support. It was a request from the client. And after some months, we aligned with the client that we were going to implement the personal shopper and bring the sales storytelling, guiding the customers to find the right products. And we could see an increase in the conversion rate in more than 200% in less than 3 months. And not just that, but we also could improve the average order value in $10. So meaning that those who interacted with the bot, they are spending $10 more. And we also have a great rate of satisfaction, which is up to 94%. And in the last case, we have a client from the US, and they have a huge volume of sessions during the year, and they have peaks of sessions because they have several promotions, important promotions. And we had 2.5 simultaneous accesses during a promotional day. Imagine if we don't have the bot, how they will deal with this volume just with human service. So the bot is helping a lot and avoiding to have long queues. And we could achieve also great savings. So more than $3 million in savings in less than a year. And we have also good results in chatbot understanding, which is 96%, meaning that we are doing the continuous improvement, we are updating the content, we are training the AI, then we are able to achieve 96% of understanding. That's why it's really important to keep all the bots updated with the continuous improvement, and also to understand if we can improve the performance and bring always new opportunities and insights to all the projects. That's it.
Well, thank you, Lucia. We appreciated especially the use cases and all the good numbers. That's one of the things that is often so hard to find in these presentations. So we're really excited to be here with Foundever. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either myself, to Lucia, or someone from one of our companies. Thank you.
Thank you.